Okay, we are live and we're going to have a little bit of a pregame show. This is an emergency broadcast, was just scheduled not too long ago. And there's some people that have some issues. So this is an intervention broadcast. And we're going to talk about a couple of subjects, but the main thing is people sometimes gravitate towards things for the wrong reasons, and they believe that something is desirable, and they believe that for the wrong reasons. Sometimes it's because a bunch of other people think that it's attractive or desirable or whatever. It's a trend, if you will. Sometimes it's something that professionals have hyped up, that they're being sold, if you will. Maybe the old saying, you're being sold a bill of goods, right? And so there are a bunch of reasons why sometimes people make mistakes buying the wrong things and buying something thinking that it is attractive and useful, and when it's really not so attractive and maybe not so useful. So we're going to talk about that. Kyle is in the house. He was in early, and Stig is hanging out. He says, "Cheers, Mr. Submariner. I'm in Germany. Very bad signal, so I might fall out. How are you?" Okay. And Kyle says they're having a little conversation back and forth. Triforce Rich is in the house. Are we going to discuss the Facebook thread today? A couple of threads today that I stirred up some controversy. Yeah, I stirred up some controversy. Imagine that. And then, of course, some people attacked me personally. I'm making a comment about a watch, right? And then they're going to attack me personally. So that kind of says something about people. If you can't make a comment about a watch without them attacking you personally. So anyway, that happened, and Lance is in the house. He says, "Hello, Craig," and all. And let's see, Kyle, they're all saying hello to each other and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, there were a couple of threads. One where I commented on some watches with integral bracelets, and I basically said that they were ugly watches. So that got them all stirred up. I mean, they just, oh my God, how can you possibly say our watches with integral bracelets are ugly? Watch experts have said that these things are the cat's meow, that these are the watch that I should buy. And I went in debt on my credit card, and I bought watches I can't afford, and now I'm showing them here on Facebook, very proud and so forth. And you said they're ugly. Oh my gosh, how can you possibly say that? So then, of course, they launch into all kinds of attacks on me personally because they wasted a lot of their hard-earned money buying an ugly watch. So let's talk about why. Let's get right into it, and let's talk about why integral bracelets are not a good idea. Let me get a picture up here. Okay, so this is an article, and I've got a link in my in the description of the video to this, and they show a whole bunch of watches with integral bracelets, okay, many of which are very popular. And some of these watches are ugly. In addition to having the bracelet, some of them are just an ugly design. I mean, exposed screws like that all around. What are you trying to be here? A submarine hatch or something? I mean, it's just ridiculous. And then, of course, the way that bracelet looks, just in general, it looks to be very stiff and uncomfortable, just the look of it, right? It just does not have a good vibe. And let's get to the practicality. If you have a problem with the bracelet, which I had a problem, of course, it wasn't a high-end watch like this, but it was a Seiko. I had a problem with the integral bracelet. This was many years ago, back in like 1972. One of my first good watches was a Seiko Bellamatic. And I had a problem with the integral bracelet, and basically there was nothing I could do. I couldn't fix it. And you couldn't replace it with another bracelet. And so it was basically, I had to basically just stop wearing the watch. And so there's no valid reason for this design, for an integral bracelet design. There are a lot of options out there, watches that don't have an integral bracelet that are extremely attractive, that you don't have the downsides of an integral bracelet. And so it's just a hard pass on any watch with an integral bracelet. One reason is in the 70s, these became real popular, and because a lot of the bracelets didn't fit that well to the case and all, and so they started coming out with the integral bracelet, and that kind of solved the problem somewhat. But now we don't have that problem anymore. These watches that we have now, like the one I have on my wrist right now, they fit very nicely to the case. The end links are they fit pretty much perfectly. There's really no valid reason that we need an integral bracelet anymore. And so now it's just a design element and not a good one at that. And so let's just look at a few more here. And these are all a hard pass on all of these watches. And some of them are ugly for other reasons as well. I mean, just the shape of that watch is not attractive. The bezel is not attractive. It just looks like a slab sit on there. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking. And I mean, look at that. I mean, talk about just an unattractive thing to have on your wrist. Why would you wear something like that when you can wear, a stunner? When you can wear a stunner on the wrist, why would you wear something like that? So anyway, yeah, we would just kind of pass on all of these, and there's a list of them in the description. We would kind of pass on all these, and there's a link in the description to all these watches. So we would pass. It would be a hard pass on all of these watches, okay? And nobody, I don't care who they are, nobody's going to be able to give a valid argument for why we should buy one of these things. The argument doesn't exist, so don't even try. Okay, so let's get going here. Let's catch up on the comments. Okay, Rick said that. Lance says hello. Kyle saying hello. Corey, I don't know how Corey's even still in here. I thought he was blocked, but anyway, somehow he keeps getting in. If somebody can block him, please do. So Corey says, I have a couple of integral bracelet watches to put the youngsters in their place. Fun, but nothing compares to a date 8. I have over 40 years experience, trust me on this. I thought I had hidden him from the channel because he was trolling. Here's the reason, Triforce Rich. He was trolling one of my guests. And you don't disrespect one of my guests here on the channel and get away with it. At least not on my watch. And I would hope the Wrench members of the Wrench gang would agree that it's very poor taste to troll a guest on the channel here on the live stream. So that's very poor taste. So that's what happened to his wrench. I think he got banned several times the other day. He lost it. Yeah, he should have gotten. I don't know how he keeps coming back. He's like a bad penny. He just keeps coming back. So anyway, so back to the subject matter. Let's talk about another design thing that is popular somewhat, and again is a going down the wrong path, is these low profile tires. Let me pull up a picture here. Okay, and so this trend where, and I don't know if it's as popular anymore, but these low profile tires, they put the big wheels, big diameter wheels, and low profile tires, and they think it's cool, right? They think it's hip, they think it's cool. I think it looks like crap, and they go flat very easily. They're expensive. They wear out fast. The car handles terrible with them. There's absolutely no upside. And it's similar to an integral bracelet. It's the same thing. There's no legit reason to do it. And somebody might say, oh, well, the car can handle better and it performs better and all of this stuff. No, not true. Wrong. And I'll prove it to you. Let me show you another picture. Here is the Bitcoin Indy car. Okay, Indy cars are some of the fastest cars in the world. Okay, those in F1, Formula One cars are very similar. Very fast cars, very powerful cars. Look at the tire on that. It's not what I would call low profile. Okay, it's got some rubber between the road and the wheel. It's got some distance there. Okay, and so that sucker handles. So don't tell me that you need an extremely low profile tire to have performance. It's a silly notion. So there you go. The Bitcoin car. Let's see. Somebody says hi all. Okay. And Trevor said, damn Mystic. Corey and his father are class act. I can't imagine them trolling the heck out of who knows in this crazy world anymore. Yeah, I mean, think about it. We have a guest on the channel doing a show, right? and it's like they're a guest in your home. I mean, she literally was here in the studio, and so she was a guest here. And I mean, would you come in and disrespect somebody that's a guest in somebody else's home? I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. But I don't know. The young folks these days just don't have any couth. No couth. Am I using that word improperly? Somebody said that I was using it improperly, but anyway, it is what it is. Craig, today's youth only cares about looking good, not functionality. There we go. We're on the same topic here. I prefer muscle cars with great big fat tires. And here's the thing, you don't want balloon tires either, unless you're going through swamps, right? I mean, there's a happy medium, right? You want a certain amount of distance between the wheel and the road, because guess what? When you hit that pothole, you want something to absorb that. Otherwise, it's going to the wheel. And or if the tires has to have a real high inflation to withstand it, then all that percussion is going into your suspension. So any way you slice it, physics are involved here, folks. Physics. Okay. And Corey, he says, my face is next to the world class in the 1968 Websters. There you go. A classy dude. I invented class. Last show, I wanted to say we need to take away Megan's wrench powers, but there was a guest on acupuncture guy. I'm glad she had the wrench powers, because she knocked it over the head of one of the trolls, and the other wrench members were asleep at the switch, and they weren't attacking the troll properly. So the trolls got through, and they did some damage, and it was just not good. Let's see here. Triforce Rich is in the house. He says, I'm in a crappy situation. My car got destroyed, but this car market is so bad, I can't find anything for a reasonable price. Budget is 50. Yeah, I heard that the used car market has gotten crazy. I heard it's gotten nutso. But I think you can still find some deals if you hunt and you get lucky, and you get somebody selling their own car, for example, maybe Facebook Marketplace or something, and you act fast, but you're going to have to act fast and probably get it from a private owner. I think the dealers are going for all the money. Yeah, I think that's what you're going to have to do. There are still some deals out there, but you gotta get lucky on it. And in some cases, it might be better just to buy a brand new car. I mean, Toyotas, for example, don't depreciate that much. And sometimes it's just worth it just to buy a brand new one. You know, $50K, you could get a really nice Toyota, my goodness. And still in this day and age. So yeah. So let's see what happened. Short story, someone blew a red and almost killed me. Whoa. It happened a month ago, but didn't mention it here. I'm lucky to be alive by all accounts. Whoa. Oh boy. Well, thank goodness. Thank goodness you are okay. And so, yeah, a lot of the new cars have side airbags and all that kind of good stuff. So that is a plus. That is a reason for buying a newer car, is they have some of those safety features. So yeah, we almost lost a. And what's not good is I can't see. I'm looking at the comments in StreamYard, so I can't see who does and doesn't have a wrench still and all that. So I can't keep up on all of that stuff while I'm monitoring it this way. I should probably have it up separate on the iPad, but I didn't bother. Sent in 2 watches. One of them's Kyle's favorite. Okay, we'll take a look. And okay. So what else was I going to show? I showed the low profile tires. So do you understand where I'm coming from here on practicality and on when you buy your gear, your equipment, you should think about the use case. You should think about the functionality. You know, all of these things should play into the decision. Not just, is it going to look good on a forum post on Facebook, right? Is it going to look good on your wrist? Is it going to function well in your everyday life? Now, if you're buying watches as box watches to sit at home in a box, none of this applies. On this channel, we always talk about watches that we wear and actually use. That's where I'm coming from on all this, because I don't think it's a good idea to have watches just sitting in a box somewhere. I think it's best to wear them. So none of this applies to people that are involved with box watches. So I probably should have mentioned that in my comment on Facebook. I probably should have said this only applies to watches you wear. You can certainly buy one of those integral bracelet watches if it's sitting at home in a box. I mean, nobody's going to see it, so it's not going to do any harm. Why you would want it in the first place, I don't know. But I mean, you know, that's a whole different use case if you're buying it as a box watch. And let's see, just so, okay, we're going to take a look at the email in a second. What about a Lexus GX? Yeah, I would get an LX if possible. And I think you can still get them if you get lucky. You can get a decent one for around 25 grand, maybe for, 25 grand for less than 100,000 miles on it, something like that. Let's see. Craig, are you on Facebook? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, I'm on Facebook. Yeah, that's where all the controversy happened today. All right, so let's go to the email here real quick. We'll start with the one that Lance sent in. And whoa, 13,000. Whoa. Some prices are going up, but it is all gold with a gold bracelet. Only 3 photos. I wonder why that is. So there we go. $14,000. Interesting. It could be a lifetime watch, probably. I don't know how well those bracelets hold up as far as stretch. I don't know how they hold up as far as that, because I don't think enough of them have been around to even know. All right, so that's one email. Yeah, I like these. I'm a fan of the Datejust period, and of course I do like the turnograph version. And I love the blue dial with the red second hand. I just think this is a stunner. And I think a Datejust should be 36 mil. So I think this is a sleeper watch that a lot of people, just for whatever reason, don't gravitate towards. And I just think it's a stunning piece. And you've got the rotating bezel in case you do want to time something. That's a functional rotating bezel. And of course, you can't beat the case shape of these watches. And this one's got the, the higher end bracelet and everything. I mean, that is just a great one and done all around piece. It's just sporty enough to, to have a little sport to it, but obviously can be used as a dress watch. I think this might trump the Yachtmaster as one of the best all around Rolexes ever made. This is right up there with the Yachtmaster, and maybe it would be the better solution, because I certainly like the Jubilee bracelet better than the Oyster that comes on the Yachtmaster with the polished center links that show every scratch. These don't show the scratches because of the curvature of the links. This watch wears very well, wear and tear wise. So it just an amazing piece. Great find. Great find. I think Lance sent this in. So yeah. 2 thumbs up on that one. And here's another piece. Here's another photo sent in from Triforce Rich. That is a interesting looking piece. I don't like the angular cases that they're putting on a lot of these Seikos now. Some people like that, the sharp angles and all. I like the more rounded case, like my 002 and my 231 have. But you know, it's not ugly by any means. It's just not, wouldn't be my first pick. Okay. Let's see here. Hey, my daughter told me it's no good. Okay, Craig. Okay. Craig, I'm new here. What happened on the Facebook? Oh, just, you know, I pointed out that some watches were ugly and that people, you know, and then the people got all bent out of shape. It's normal. This is not unusual. Okay. Oh, I forgot to show that one. Okay. And so I like that one. It retails for like, 30K. Okay. And, let's see here. Thanks, Craig. I was told 99% of the time, given the damage, I'd be dead or worse. I crawled out of the vehicle after being knocked out, but now no car, barring my parents from now. Whoa. I'll tell you, when something like that happens, you know, when you have a near-death experience, it changes you a little bit. And I've had a couple of close calls, various circumstances. I won't go into detail now, but yeah, you come out of something like that and you know, I think it changes your outlook. I think time becomes more precious, and yeah, hopefully this will turn out to be a plus, actually. But man, it is something to go through. The Turnograph is a great underrated Rolex because it combines classy with sporty, Jubilee bracelet with rotation. But yeah, I mean, it's just, and it's a stunning watch. I mean, it's a gorgeous freaking piece. So there's that. Kyle looked at the as an option, but looked at the prices. It's insane right now. Okay. MacGyver says scary. Okay. And Trashy Larry, and we got a thank you there. And Trashy Larry says Chip, Lance, Carlos. Okay. Winding watches. Which watches were ugly? Well, we opened up the show here talking about the integral bracelets, and I don't think it's something that is a good idea. I think that most of them are not that attractive. You take like a Rolex Date 8, it's going to be better looking than any of those high-end watches with integral bracelets. Let's show a few of them here. Okay, so a Rolex Date 8 would be better looking than any of these. I'm going through, and these are all expensive pieces. A lot of them are just steel, right? They're not even gold. Okay, and you take a Rolex Date 8, or even a Rolex Yachtmaster would be a better looking watch. For a pure sport watch, a GMT Master would be a better choice, right? A lot of better choices than these things with these integral bracelets. And integral bracelets are not a good idea because if they fail, they're very expensive to get fixed. You can't just easily replace them. It's a real problem, and there's no reason for them. They're not that attractive, these watches. I hate to break the news to you guys, but they're just not that attractive. They don't even come close to the beauty of the 002 Stunner. The 002 Stunner, the SBGY 002 Stunner in 18 karat gold, they don't even come close to that. Not even in the same freaking ballpark, okay? These things. All right, so yeah, we'd pass on all of these. We'd pass on all of them, okay? Pass on the integral bracelet or integrated bracelet or whatever way you want to call it. That's a full pass. So that's how we started the show. Let's see here. And Buser says, hope there's no lasting injury. Yes, I think we all second that. Craig, did you mingle with hippies in the 70s? There was one girl in my neighborhood that was, I mean, she was all that. Okay. She was the first girl that I saw like braless in public, right? And she was something else. She was a couple years older than me. I probably was 13 at the time or something. And she was like, yeah, this is the early 70s, right? Let's see, in 76, I was 18. So take, 6 years off of that, right? Take 5 years off of that so you get an idea. And so, and I mean, first time I saw her, she was definitely a hippie. She was with the kids that smoked the grass and all that. She ended up getting knocked up and getting pregnant when she was like 16. But that was my only experience with the hippies was that young lady. There weren't that many of them around my neighborhood, to tell you the truth. So yeah, I have a Day-Date 40 in rose gold and a Vacheron overseas. I prefer the overseas on a day-to-day basis. My Day-Date is $2,000 just to replace a link. Day-Date 40 is, it should have the ceramic sleeves, so it should last indefinitely. You shouldn't have any problem with that bracelet wearing out. Yeah, I would, of course, I would have gotten yellow gold in the Day-Date, but rose gold is better than nothing. It's better than white gold or platinum, I think, because at least it looks like gold somewhat. And so, yeah, I would wear that rose gold Day-Date. I'd wear it on a daily basis, and I'd get rid of that Vacheron. That's the move I would make. Of course, I wore Day-Dates for 40 years, so I'm I have a soft spot for Day-Dates. Thanks, be served lucky. Things are looking good. Craig, check the prices of a Nautilus right now. Well, maybe somebody can let us know in the chat, or somebody can send us a link. Are they expensive? I mean, my guess is they're probably way too expensive, right? For what they are. I sure as heck wouldn't want one. Okay, let's see here. Show us your stunning Facebook post. There were a couple of them, and there's one in horology, the horology group. I'm not going to dig them out right now. It's the same old thing. I mean, these people will vehemently defend their position that their watch is like all that, right? And they will not accept any criticism at all. They take it personally if you question their taste in watches or in something else. They absolutely take it personally, and then they lash out. So they did a little bit of that. Nothing new. Doesn't bother me. Water off a duck's back. It's easy to say anything you want when you're behind a keyboard, right? None of them would say any of the things that they said in person to me, to my face. They'd be like, whimpering in the corner. So that's the way that would be. Craig, a Nautilus now sells for over 100K. A steel one? A steel Nautilus sells for 100K? Man, talk about a fool and his money parting. Okay. Craig, have you ever been banned? I don't think I've been banned. Well, no, I might have been banned from one group at one point. I'm probably close to getting banned from one of the others, because it was a couple of the moderators that I was having it out with there today. So I'm probably close. Wouldn't bother me one bit if they banned me from their silly group. Save me some time. I sent a Land Cruiser 2009 for sale. We will take a look. Craig is right. Overseas has an ugly bezel and integral bracelet. Craig's always right. Here's the thing. I don't make statements on things if I'm not sure. If I wasn't 100% sure that, for example, Bitcoin is really a good thing for humanity and could change the world, then I wouldn't say something like that, right? For years, I sat quiet about Bitcoin. I bought some and I've had it for years. I didn't start talking about it until 2016 publicly. Okay, 2016, because I waited until I was sure that it was likely to survive. I thought it was going to get shut down by the government many times. And so I stayed quiet for a long time. And then once I figured it got over some of those major hurdles, that's when I started talking about it publicly. And so the same thing with my opinion on watches and so forth. I don't make comments on particular watches and things unless I'm sure that I'm right. What are your thoughts on the Porsche Cayman? I haven't really had much experience with them, so I couldn't really say. I'd have to drive one and really examine it and all that. My problem with a lot of these newer high-end vehicles is a lot of them are expensive to maintain and give a lot of trouble. And Porsches used to always be the more reliable of the quote exotic or higher end cars. If you wanted something to drive every day that was kind of like a real performer, a 911 was always a good option. But I don't know if that's true anymore. I think even they can be expensive to maintain and so forth. So I'm just not looking to go that way. I would rather buy something boring like a Lexus LS sedan and be done with it. Buy something that will just drive forever. It's going to handle and drive just as good as the Porsche. It's going to hold five people, I guess, if you need to. I don't think they hold six, but five people if you need to. Nice big trunk. I think the LS would be a better choice. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. With all due respect, if you haven't owned these watches, you have no justification for making blanket statements winding watches. I've owned watches with integral bracelets. I had one fail on me and gave trouble. I'm just not going to go there. There's no reason to go there. I'm not going to own something when there are better options. Buy it if you like it. I'm not saying don't buy it, don't own it. I'm just saying that it's not a good idea. I wouldn't do it. I would buy the day date and wear the day date and be done with it and call it a day. Or buy something like the 231, the 02 Stunner if you want something a little dressier. If you want something dressy, that has a deployant clasp. It's a beautiful case design. It's a beautiful dial. Everything about it is stunning. And it's bulletproof reliable. It'll run for decades without any issues. You don't have to baby it. I mean, let's be realistic here. If you're actually going to wear these watches, do you really want something that's going to cost an arm and a leg to service if it ever gives trouble? And you really want something that's a little bit delicate if you drop it or something? Do you really want to go through all that? Lance is in the house. 100K is way too expensive for a steel watch. A new yellow gold date 8 is so much cheaper and more impressive. There you go, Lance. You are truthful. Craig, what is your opinion of the Toyota MR2? It looks a lot like a Porsche. They had some overheating issues because of the mid-engine. I don't know if that was if that's still a real thing to think about. If I wanted a little sports car, what I would buy and what I did buy was a Mazda Miata. I think it's a better bet. I think it's maybe a more bulletproof than that particular Toyota, just because of the mid-engine issue. So yeah, mid-engine cars are kind of famous for having potentially some overheating issues. Corey's in the house. I have a Nautilus and barely wear the thing. Sick of middle-aged men asking me questions about it. If only they knew the power of a dating, the combination with a GMT. Oh God, help us. Where the hipsters, the hipsters of their day. Well, yeah, I think that's where the term came from, isn't it? Isn't that where the term came from? Okay, so what else? Oh, let me see if there's another email. Yeah, this is a Land Cruiser. I'll bring it up here. Whoa, 36,000. Whoa. 2009, 140,000 miles. Holy cow. That's a lot of money for a 140,000 mile Land Cruiser. Damn. And they absolutely don't sell them anymore new, correct? They're done, right? Do any dealers even have a new one anymore sitting on the showroom? What was the last year of them? Was it last year? Was that the last year of the Land Cruiser? I know there's no 2022 Land Cruiser. Was there 2021? Or was 2020 the last year? Oh boy, that's a problem. Unless you have to go off-road, you could, for a lot less money, you could get an LS sedan, like a 10-year-old LS sedan, like an LS 460. You could probably get one for 20 grand that was just jumping up and down mint, with low mileage. I would have said 15 grand 2 months ago, but now I'm going to be conservative and say 20 grand. Maybe I should buy Craig's Prius. Well, I mean, the problem is, what would I get to replace it? And I mean, my Prius is in great condition. I mean, it's like immaculate. And it's been maintained perfectly its entire life, garage kept at all times. It's never sat out in the sun for any period of time, because I don't do that. I don't like drive somewhere to work and then have it sit in the sun all day and then drive home. I don't do that thing. So it's been, that's the kind of car you want to get, is one that's been kept in the garage most of the time. Sorry for going off topic, but do you have a view on Irwin Sattler clocks? Not really. If you want to send a link to my name, craigship@gmail.com, craigship@gmail.com, I'll take a look and let you know what I think. But no, I'm not familiar with them. Craig, so you still have the Frederick.com wrap on the Prius? Yes. I told you, Craig, the market has gone nuts on all used cars. The market for used is up 40% for last worst time to buy a car in history. I hear you. I mean, it's looking insane. So like I say, it might be, you got to just buy a new car. I hate to say that, but I mean, it just might be the way you have to go. Craig, do you still have the Frederick? Oh, okay, I already read that. Okay, new cars are selling above MSRP. I wouldn't be surprised with that, but maybe you can find one somewhere at a little more rural dealer where you can get one for the right price. That's all I can tell you, is you just got to do what you got to do. But no, I can't sell mine because I don't want to be on foot. It'd be a good time for somebody to sell a car if they've got an extra car. Yeah, sell at the top of the market, right? We might be at the top. We might not be at the top yet. The way they're printing money, everything's going to go sky high. Everything's going to go sky high. Craig, you should get a Lexus LC500. Again, I would rather have the LS sedan, I think. I really would. And I don't like the new ones. I like the older, like the LS 460 look. I don't like the newer grills and all that they're putting on them. Craig, would you trust a 2005 Ford truck with 250,000 miles, but fully rebuilt Triton V10 engine? I don't like rebuilt engines. That makes me nervous. And no, a Ford truck with 250,000 miles, I think, is worn out. One thing I can imagine you and that easily. One thing that you guys might want to consider is do what I was looking at. Buy one of those decommissioned ambulances. They're still going for halfway reasonable prices. One just sold the other day, and it was in Oregon, I think. It sold for $7 grand, and it had the Cummins 8.3 liter Cummins diesel in it, turbo diesel. That's a wet sleeve engine. It had like 50,000 miles on it. It looked like it was a nice solid rig. It was a year 2000. It was a Freightliner. And it sold for about 7,500 or 7,000, something like that. The only reason I didn't bid higher on it is it didn't have the 72-inch standing height in the back. It had the big 14-foot box, but it was shorter. It was like a 5'8" standing height. Some of those ambulances, have the lower box. They don't have the taller box. I would have bid up on it if it would have had the taller box. But I mean, I've seen several sell that, were low mileage, low hours. That's what you want on those, is low miles, low hours. So maybe some deals can be found in one of those. Maybe Triforce Rich can pick up one of those and make it into like a rolling mobile office, bug out vehicle, et cetera, et cetera. A medium duty ambulance chassis. put it this way. The insurance company paid out my car and I get back all the money and drove the thing for 3 years. Well, they should, given the current market. That's right. Hopefully, do you have a little bit of a sore neck? Are you getting therapy and stuff? And do you have a lawyer? Are you going to get yourself an extra 10 or 20 grand for pain and suffering? How's that all work? Maybe that's the way to go. And that'll make up for the fact that you have to pay more for the car, right? Craig, you preach the best, sell the Prius and get the LS. I would, except for it. The reason I got the Prius, I sold my LS and got the Prius because I couldn't load the Segway. It was difficult to lift the Segway up over the lip of the trunk and put it in. It's 90 pounds and it's awkward. And so with the Prius, I have 2 ramps that I open up the hatchback and I put 2 ramps and I just power it right up the ramps into the back. So that's the reason why I got the Prius. And I actually really like the Prius. It's quiet going down the road. It's comfortable. It's got plenty of room in it. And so I'm very happy with it. Now, at some point, I probably will get an LS sedan just to have as a second car, but I really don't need one now. So if I start doing more traveling and all, I might get an LS sedan just to take road trips in and stuff like that. So yeah. Craig, that is always nice when they pay up like that. Yeah, there you go. Or an LC. Craig, I'm looking at a Gen 1 Prius. Owner says garage kept, but headlights look sunburned. Are they lying? That's a good point. I mean, if it's been in the garage its whole life, it shouldn't have much sun damage at all. I would look over the rest of the car and see maybe the headlights go bad over just time, but sometimes, a car's garage kept, but if they drove to work during the day and it sat in their work parking lot all day and then they went home and put it in the garage, it's still going to have sun damage, right? So there's garage kept and then there's garage kept. If you buy it from an older retired person, right, who's not driving to work and all that, so that's why you want to buy the little old lady car. You want to buy the little old lady car that's been sitting in the garage all the freaking time and she only takes it out when she goes to the grocery store or she goes to church on Sunday. That's the car to buy. And even if you have to pay a premium to get it, that's the car to get. I sent an email of your next car, Craig. Then you can ship the Prius to Rich. Okay, I'll take a look. Gen 1 Prius was gorgeous. At sexy lines on that. Is that sarcastic? Because, yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Craig, is it better to just buy BTC or invest in the mediums of exchange like Coinbase? I have some Coinbase stock and it went down. So I'm sitting at a loss. I bought it when it came out. I would certainly buy BTC would be my first choice. My second choice would be GBTC. If you have a Roth IRA, I have GBTC in my Roth IRA, and then maybe buy some Coinbase. But a smaller allocation to that. But I would primarily just have Bitcoin. Yeah. Okay. So let's see what else. Craig, I was in the ER for a couple of days, severe bruising and cuts. I do have an attorney, but mostly just want to get on with my life, doing therapy. I got knocked out and no memory, so I had to protect myself. Well, yeah, there's nothing wrong with getting compensated for all this that you're going through. Some idiot ran the red light. It's his fault. He caused all this angst, and you should be compensated for it. I mean, you've been wronged here. And it's no fault of your own. Absolutely, you should have a good lawyer, and you should get your due compensation. His insurance company is going to pay for it, my guess. And if he's uninsured, if you had uninsured motorist coverage, yours would pay for it. Hey, Craig Health, don't buy. By the way, you should get like personal property, PPP, personal property protection or something. You can get a couple of payments. Back in the day, you used to be able to get paid 2 or 3 times for your medical bills. The PPP would pay for it, another thing would pay for it, and another thing would pay for it, and you'd end up collecting like 2 or 3 times for the same bill, and that's absolutely legal. So as long as you have a good lawyer, he'll sort all that out. Now I'm going to get to the email here in a second, Kyle. Is Alexandria close by? The Lexus is in Alexandria. Make sure to scroll through the pics of the interior. Yes, Alexandria is close by. Bree says hi. Close by, it's an hour. Bree in the house. Okay. Went through that. Okay. Yes. We're glad he is getting his life back together. All right, let's go to the email. Oh, first let's show the rest of these pictures. I mean, but with 140,000 miles, in my opinion, that's still a lot of money. What I would do is I would search places like Facebook Marketplace. And I would try to find one that is a one owner garage kept car, not from a dealer, buying it actually from the original owner. And I'm going to pull up this other photo here. So here is the, here's the car. And I mean, you know, again, in my younger days, I did have a, the SC430. I actually had a deposit on the SC430 when I bought my LS 430. I had a deposit on an SC430 when they first came out. And one of the first ones that came in, I could have taken it. I went down to the dealer. I sat in it. I didn't like the way you had to put your arm up real high to put it on the door. Like on my Miata, my arm could be straight out. And I just didn't like the car. And so that's why I ended up instead buying the LS 430. That was a 2002, I believe. Yes, 2002 LS 430 that I bought new. And I could have bought the SC 430, the two-door coupe with the retractable hardtop, right? But I just didn't like the car when I got down there and sat in it and looked it over. And then they had the LS sedan there, and I was very familiar with the LS sedan because I had an LS 400. I had a 1990, yes, the first year, 1990 LS 400. And so I was very familiar with those cars. And so, and I still had that car. And so I ended up getting the 2002 LS 430. And I sold the LS 400, which was burgundy with burgundy leather, which was a very rare combination. And a woman just had to have it. So I got a very good price for that. So, let's see. Can't pass on the LS 500. Rich has to keep the Frederick.com decals on the car. Yeah. Well, he'd have to relocate here and drive it around here because otherwise it's no good advertising Frederick.com in Timbuktu. I need to advertise it here. Else he puts a huge smile on my face. Sounds amazing. Okay. Give the Prius to Bree. I'll go BMW or Lexus most likely when the market corrects. I wouldn't want to deprive Bree of the car. She appreciates Craig's hand-me-downs. So don't go BMW. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. Get yourself a Lexus. Kyle and I have very similar taste on a lot of things, including cars. There you go. Craig, if I send you a video, can you play it for the viewers with the sound playing? Possibly. Yeah. Send me the link. It's a YouTube video or something. We could probably do that. Craig, you didn't scroll through the interior photos. LOL. I showed the interior photo. Oh, are you talking about of which car? I showed the LX. I showed the interior. Let me show it again. I'll show it again. Give me a second. See, there's the interior. You talking about this one? I certainly showed these. They're a great car. They just go for a super premium. I mean, they always have. They've always been very desirable, used. And so that's the problem. It's almost like you should just buy, oh, the LC interior. Okay. It's not cooperating with me here. Just give me a second. Trying to reload this. It is not cooperating. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right, let's see if we can get this going here. All right, there we go. That's what he wanted to see. That's what he wanted to see. I still don't like that front grille. I think they blew it on that. I mean, I'm sure it's an amazing car, and it's probably still a reliable car. I don't like those low-profile tires. But no, I would go for an LS sedan and go for it. This would probably be the same thing. I'd probably sit in this car and I probably just wouldn't feel as comfortable as the LS. The LS sedan is amazing. I mean, they're just amazing vehicles. I mean, I drove mine for a couple of years. The LS 400 I drove for many years, but the LS 430 I drove for 2 years. So yeah. Yeah, Lexus of Alexandria is a big operation. There's also one in Rockville that's a big operation. Let's see here. I owned BMW for 7 years. It's a great car. Hey, if you got through 7 years without any major service issues, major expenses, you did really good. Let's see. Triforce Riches in the house. I owned a 5-series for many years. After 100K miles, I felt like I was in an intimate relationship with the check engine light. I'd get low mileage. I'd get a low mileage certified this time around. Yeah, I would pass on the whole BMW. I'd pass on Audi. I'd pass on Volvo. I'd pass on any of those things. I'd just get yourself a Lexus and call it a day. And there's other things in life to worry about than your car. You don't need to have a car that you got to worry about, in my opinion. Life is too short to go through all that. Put yourself through all that. I had BMWs. I had a one of the first Z3 convertibles that came into Maryland. I had it for maybe 6 months, but I sold it then at a nice profit because they were really hard to get because of the whole James Bond thing, right? And so I sold that. So I never had anything like that anywhere near out of warranty, right? Now I had some Mercedes diesels, some Mercedes 240Ds and 300Ds that I drove on a daily basis, and those were workhorse vehicles. And I never got burned on one of those because I never kept them that long. I always flipped them for a profit. But those are bulletproof vehicles. If you know, those old, let's say 1978, 1975, 1976, Mercedes diesels, mid 70s Mercedes diesels. Those were the cars that made Mercedes really in this country, in my opinion. That 1978 300 SD turbo diesel was an amazing car. They had some rust problems, and the horsehair in the seats would collapse, and you'd have to have the horsehair redone in the seats at some point. But they were generally pretty robust cars. Craig, did you have any photos of your 300 SL Gullwing? There's one, I think, old photo. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know if I uploaded it to, oh yeah, here it is. Okay. So, so there's one photo. And there's another photo, and that's me in the suit. That's me, the blurry guy in the suit. And that's a friend of mine, a neighbor, Mark, little guy. And so there it is in the tucked away in the garage, where it sat for quite a while until we finally got it running. So yeah, they're the only two pictures I have, though, I think, from back in the day. Didn't take that many pictures back in the day. We didn't have digital. And so pictures are hard to come by. Let's see. Craig, don't look at the investment banking periodicals. Some paparazzi took a photo of Chip Wong exiting his camera. Okay. Oh, boy. Check your video, Craig. Play the sound for us. Okay, we'll do that. You got to give it up while the other L's are buying Richard Mille and AP. He sticks to Rainbow Daytonas. All right. Okay. All right. So let's go. Let's find this. I can't hear it. You guys can't. Hear it. I'll hear it later when I watch the rerun. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So I'm sure that was amazing. Let's see. Wow, that Mercedes is beautiful. It's worth millions today. A restored one, yeah. But it would have cost a lot of money to restore it also. And I had a lot of other cars that would be really valuable today, like GT 500 KR convertible Shelby, 1978. Had several Shelbys. Those would all be valuable. I had a Eldorado Brome. Was it a 56 Eldorado Brome? I don't remember the year of that now. Those are extremely rare. That would be expensive today. I had a lot of cars that would be expensive today, but you can't, it's hard to keep cars all those years, right? It's hard to keep a hold of anything because, storage space, all of that, everything is an issue, right? Exhaust was tuned by Yamaha. There we go. So let me see if I have a picture of that Brome, because that thing was wild. Here it is out at the air park, out at the Montgomery County Air Park. And that, I believe it was a 1956. Yeah, 1956 Eldorado Brome, Cadillac Eldorado Brome. Those had the suicide doors. They had mouton carpets. They had all stainless steel trim, like inside the door jambs and everything. The top, you can't tell in this picture, the top was actually stainless steel. I think there were something like 1,300 of those things made, and they were super expensive. They were like 13 grand new, like in 56, right? I mean, my God. So that was an amazing vehicle. And that one had super low mileage. I think that car had like 15,000 miles on it or something when we got it. Had Greyhound airbag suspension all the way around. That was a wild freaking car. And that would be an expensive puppy today and very hard to get. So, yeah. Okay. Craig, I once heard 70s American car suspension described as sharing a waterbed with a baboon dosed in itching powder. Do you recall any cars that fit that description? Well, you know, it's interesting. People back in the day, I used to always drive, not always, but I drove a lot of Cadillac Fleetwood Bromes, 133-inch wheelbase. 1966 had the picnic tables that folded down from the seat, and if you're in the back seat, you had these little picnic tables that folded down, you know, that were really cool. They had those had 4 power vent windows, so they had a total of 8 power windows. I mean, they were amazing cars. And people used to always tell me, well, they drive like a boat, you know, they don't handle and all this stuff. They handled great, and they had a lot of power. I mean, they would get up and freaking go. They were no joke, and you could run down the highway all day long at 100 miles an hour and just be like you're in your living room. And the seats on that my 65 Fleetwood were like this thick, right? Let me see if we can find a picture of that one. I mean, when you say they don't make them like they used to, I mean, this thing was so freaking comfortable. I mean, look at the seats in that thing. You can't, I mean, the seat back was like 8 inches thick, right? And you sit in that thing and it was just like, oh my God, you could just ride in that thing all that. And of course it had the telescope steering wheel that tilts and telescopes, right? I mean, they were just the way to go. I mean, they were the car to drive. That was my everyday driver. Now, for a while, I had a 1968 Bonneville Brougham, a 1968 Bonneville Brougham that was loaded to the gills. And that thing was amazing. That had the 428 in it with dual exhausts. Let me find that one. That was an extremely rare car because you almost never saw them as loaded as that one. See if I can find it here. Here it is. And I only have one picture of this car. This was a 4-door hardtop, 1968 Bonneville Brougham, loaded to the gills with the 428 motor in it. That thing rode like a dream too, and would get right up and go. So 1968 Pontiac Bonneville 4-door hardtop. So yeah. Let's see. Craig, what's the make and model of the camera used for your watch macro shots? I've done a lot of them just with my Panasonic Lumix. Is that a LX1000? I forget the model number of it. Anyway, I've done them with my Sony A6500. I have a macro lens for that. So I've done some with the Sony A6500. I'm not really happy with any of the macro shots. But this shot here is the FZ1000, is my Panasonic FZ1000. That's what's hooked up to Camera Shot 3. So, but that's an inexpensive camera, 1-inch Sony sensor in it. So it's, you know, it's halfway decent, but I'm not really happy with any of my macro shots, to tell you the truth. What happened to Ray's wrench? Good question. Maybe he was misbehaving. Greg, did you use to own or sell any Citroens that had the air oil suspension? No. But I did have some Peugeot. I had was it a 504 diesel with the diesel in it, a Peugeot 504. And that was a fun car. That was cool. With the diesel, those had comfortable seats. Any of those French cars had very comfortable seats. But I think it would have been cool to have one of those Citroens, but I was scared to death of those things giving trouble. But yeah, those things are wild. Why buy Lexus? I still have my 2014 Gullwing. Okay. The camera you use for your web broadcasting macro shots. Yeah, that's the Panasonic FZ1000. FZ1000. Yeah. Okay. They can be bought pretty reasonably on eBay. Craig, I owned a 1977 Buick Electra. The seats were amazing. I almost wanted to take them out before I got rid of it. I hear you. Yeah, some of those older cars, see, you got to realize that they were making them without regard to cost, without regard to weight as much, right? Back in the day, they didn't really care. So they made the cars nice and heavy, right? So that's what made them ride so nice, right? And the seats could be nice and thick and heavy and all that. See, one of the reasons why the Teslas aren't that great is the seats are thin in them, and there's not much padding, and physics, man, they're just not that comfortable. And so that's the problem with a lot of these newer cars. Now, the Lexus LS sedans do have nice, thick, decent seats, but still they don't hold a candle to my 65 Fleetwood. My 65 Fleetwood had probably the most comfortable seats of any car I've ever had, including the Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow that I had that had really nice, thick seats. But the 65 Fleetwood probably trumped all of them. Yeah, and it weighed a ton. Several tons. I live in a 40 Econoline Trashilaria. Can't blame you for that. So don't understand these new money types driving their own Rolls. My father has never touched a wheel of a Rolls in years. Okay. Okay, we're going to finish it up here pretty soon. Craig, would you trust an X-Taxi Prius? I don't think I'd want to buy a taxi Prius, but I don't know. But no, I'd want to buy a one-owner garage-kept car. Craig, don't sell that sports car. Which one? Let's see. Craig, have you ever owned a 50s Chevy Bel Air? No, but a bunch of my buddies owned like a 57 Chevy and all those. They were all into those. I never thought they were that great. To tell you the truth, I liked the cars more from the mid 60s on because they had more creature comforts and were more comfortable. I'll tell you, one of my favorites was a 1964 Imperial LeBaron that had dual air conditioning. It had the front and rear air conditioning, and the rumor was that it was originally owned by Jackie Kennedy, and it may have been. And that car was amazingly comfortable. Let me see if I can pull up a photo real quick of that one. Yeah, not a very good photo, but there that one is. That's the Imperial, and that had that was a 4-door hardtop. So if you put down all the windows, right, it gave you the hardtop effect. And there's another one that was a convertible that I was actually buffing in that picture. That's actually me, believe it or not. And that was a 1965 Imperial convertible. And there's another picture of the car owned by Jackie Kennedy. And there's the Mobile Director. That was in that was at a car show. That wasn't my car, but that was a Mobile Director that was an option in like the New Yorkers, like a Chrysler New Yorker. That's a very rare option called the Mobile Director with that table and everything, and the seat swiveled around and faced the other way. And so I had to take a picture of that, but I never owned one with that. But a couple of my buddies had were big fans of the mid 60s New Yorker 4-door hardtops. And those a lot of times came with the 440. If you got a loaded one, it came with what's called the 440 TNT engine. And those would get down the road. Those were something. But I was more the Cadillac guy. Craig, do you prefer the leather seats or the velour seats in the old caddies? My it was more like a broadcloth. Well, I don't know if it's broadcloth, but my 65 had cloth seats, and the 68 Pontiac Bonneville Brome that I showed you the picture of, that had almost like silk like fabric, and those were really super comfortable. I had some with the leather. Leather was fine, but some of those older ones with the cloth, and it wasn't velour, but it was like it was cloth, were absolutely super comfortable. Yeah. So that 65 had cloth, and it was just freaking amazing. I'm in the house now. We can't end. Blue in the house. Chip wrongs. Okay. I don't know what that's about. Okay. Sporty suspension plus rock hard plastic seats, low profiles equals uncomfortable car, not rocket science. There you go. Straighten out that guy. Am I crazy, or did Old Trash Layer have a wrench at one point? I don't know about that. I was always a Cadillac guy. I drove an old Volvo and never looked back. Hard to beat for the money. I sold Volvos for a while, and I drove them and all, and they were okay. They were okay. But unless you got the GL, the higher end one, most of them had just had 4-cylinder engines in them. Some of them had that V6, and the V6 wasn't any good. So that's the same V6 they put in the DeLorean. It just wasn't any good. But anyway, back in the day. All right, folks, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for watching. This was an intervention broadcast, and hopefully we made some progress. And until next time, like, comment, share. Hey, like, comment, and share the video. Carl says, Craig breaking out the 231. There it is. There it is, the 231. And there is the 002. All right, folks, take care now. See you next time.